So last week, Xbox CEO Asha Sharma introduced us to Xbox Project Helix, the next generation Xbox console, via a tweet. Now, there wasn't a whole hell of a lot to go off of in this tweet, but she did say that the next generation Xbox would play PC games along with Xbox games on there, which is something that we've been talking about for quite a while on the channel, and that they were going to follow up with developers at GDC, which is taking place this week. Now, with this announcement and all of these other rumors that have been floating around, a lot of Xbox influencers have been championing for the return of Xbox. Now exclusives are going to come back, and Game Pass is going to be changed, and Xbox is going to be a formidable foe within the console landscape once again. Now, we can have our doubts about that, but it seemed like a lot of people were very excited for Project Helix and what this is going to entail, mostly for the quote-unquote return of Xbox. That's something that Asha Sharma herself has said. They want to return to Xbox, and I'm like, what is Xbox? Like, the past decade is obviously very different than the decade that preceded that, so there's lots of questions going into it. Well, we do have some information that has allegedly leaked about Project Helix and Xbox in general in the future going forward, and if this is correct, like, people need to scale things back a little bit. We need to get our expectations in line, because this is more so the opposite of what Xbox influencers have been saying and hoping for now that exclusives are good once again, and it paints a very different picture for Project Helix. So I want to talk about this with you guys and sort of go over the information. So where is this information coming from? It's coming from someone named Sneakers SO. I don't know. Like, I'm not completely tapped into the Xbox insiders thing, but this information is a lot of bold claims here, and so I wanted to make sure like this person has at least a decent track record, you know, better than a lot of people that talk about Nintendo stuff all the time. So I did find this tweet from back in October of 2025 where somebody says Sneakers SO, I don't know how to say that, dude. Track record for anyone pretending he's a random. Called Xbox games going to PlayStation months before the business update. Said next-gen Xbox wouldn't be a traditional console war box. More niche, ecosystem-driven. Leaked the OEM third-party hardware path. Warned retailers were stepping back from Xbox shelf space before Costco. Described the handheld as a Windows-first Xbox-wrapped Steam Deck-style device before the Asus ROG Ally X was announced. Was vouched for by Tom Warren as knowing a lot of what goes on internally at Xbox. Now all of a sudden he's not credible. So obviously, you know, those things did end up happening when it comes to Xbox with this. Some people's hang up with him, from what I've seen online, is the fact that he essentially was saying that there was doubts internally about a next generation Xbox platform even happening. And I don't think that's super far-fetched. Like, let's say that there was no regime change or anything like that. Like, I feel like that was a possibility. That was a realistic possibility, especially when you start to look at the numbers, you start to look at what's happening with component costs and stuff like that. So now that we've kind of established that Sneakers has a track record, what did they say about Project Helix? Well, this is being summarized by a Twitter user by the name of MBG. Not MVG, this is MBG. This is his brother, I guess, his younger brother, who is a PlayStation focused YouTube channel. So people are kind of like, oh, well, he only does PlayStation console war stuff. You could take that into account. I'm not even saying all this is factual. You know, take it with a grain of salt, but it does kind of line up how I envision the Project Helix more so than what has been talked about. So according to Sneaker So via MBGX, or MBG, I should say, the new Xbox CEO, Asha Sharma, could not cancel Project Helix due to the high research and development cost already spent. And that makes sense. This obviously was not her idea. This was talked about last year by Sarah Bond. They're talking about the future Xbox console, the biggest quote-unquote technological leap ever, so on and so forth. So this isn't some knee-jerk reaction to anything. This is obviously something that has been in development for quite a while, as we already know, because we already sort of have a timetable for this. Obviously, there were supposed to be other Xbox devices that released. Remember, like the Xbox Brooklyn, that was like a factual thing from the FTC leaks, and there was images of it and stuff, and then that never came to fruition. Maybe Xbox started to focus more so on the next generation instead of the series generation to sort of move on, and that's why some of those things ended up getting canceled. MBG also says that Sneaker SO says that the system will be very expensive and made for a very niche audience. I don't think that comes as a surprise to anyone. When you look at the pricing of components and stuff like that, what this system is going to be doing, what is happening with the Steam machine right now, that pretty much lines up with what everyone's anticipating. This thing is going to be over $1,000. We could be talking $1,200. We could be talking $1,500. Like, it's just the reality of the situation when you are looking at manufacturing a brand new console, a new idea in the current business marketplace. It is a PC that uses the Windows full screen experience. Developers are making games for Windows Store now. So that's pretty interesting, because when you talk about PC games, everyone automatically goes to, Steam, Epic, Game Store, GOG, and stuff like that. But could this be a way for Microsoft to implement, the Windows Store experience and try to make that a more viable thing? Like, maybe that's really the focal point of this, and things like Steam and whatnot are going to be in the back seat, because people always say, oh, well, the Steam machine is going to be outdated by the time it releases, and then you have Project Helix coming out. But there's one key difference that I see with this, and besides just the price point, with the Steam machine, you will have like Steam machine verified games. Companies can make a profile specifically for the Steam machine so that the game runs optimal on that. Do you really see many companies making like third-party games and then also, releasing it on Xbox, releasing it on Steam, and then also the Steam version has an Xbox Project Helix designed profile and stuff like that? If that's the case, why would you even do the Xbox version? There is no native operating system. It is now Microsoft's universal window platform, and boy, oh boy, that sounds terrifying. As someone who uses Windows 10, because I refuse to upgrade to Windows 11 on my main computer here, the Copilot, the Edge, the AI integration is terrible. Go away. Leave me alone, you freaking psychopath. I don't want to use you. I think you suck. Supposedly, native Xbox versions are done, which kind of goes back to what we were just saying. But then that makes no sense to me. So I don't know. I'm kind of a little bit hung up on that. Accessibility to, or access to, your Xbox library of games maintained through backwards compatibility. There's already been talks about it being via emulation on this system, not native stuff. It's more so, an emulator is providing the experience for you instead of it running natively on the hardware, which kind of makes sense considering that it seems like this is a PC with Xbox branding, much like the Asus ROG Ally was. The Asus ROG Ally was essentially a ROG Ally with a little bit of Xbox sprinkled into it. It was not an Xbox experience. Even Xbox, and Microsoft people who reviewed the ROG Ally said it's a great handheld, but it's not a real Xbox experience. And then the final two things are where things get pretty crazy, but very bold statements, but I think a possibility. Essentially, the final nail in the coffin to wrap up the hardware business, and exclusives are absolutely not happening. So that's pretty different. That's pretty different than what has been put out there for Project Helix. And I'm not saying that this is right and that people are wrong with their assessment of things, because right now, it's all based on speculation. But when you have someone with a decent enough track record, talking about these things, sort of elaborating on these things and pinpointing certain things. Like, you're obviously confident in what you're saying. You're either stupid or confident in what you're saying. You know, there's not really a middle ground here. Saying that this is wrapping up the hardware business, exclusives aren't happening. It's essentially a PC with some Xbox branding sprinkled in. It's mostly a PC-like experience. I think okay, so take away everything. Take away everything with this. Look at what Xbox did this generation. Look at how things have been going for Xbox this generation, and just kind of the moves that they have been making. What sounds more plausible to you? A new Xbox console that has console exclusives, and it's, you know, this, that, and the other. Yeah, you could also do PC stuff, but it's really an Xbox. It's really just, you know, that's the focal point. Exclusives are going to be on this. In order to play these games, you have to have an Xbox. Game Pass is going to get revamped. Everything is going to be changing. They're going back to an old business model. The aggressive Xbox era is going to be back. Or a PC releases with Xbox branding on it that doesn't have exclusives, that is just a way to sort of bridge a PC and a home console that you put under your television that costs a lot of money, that is going to be for a more niche audience. I mean, you've got Halo, Fable, Forza, and Gears all this year coming out on the PlayStation 5. And you know, this is the swan song of that. They're going to walk that back, even though they've been making money on the PlayStation stuff. I don't know, man. It's easy to say, oh, well, PlayStation, you know, they're walking back the PC stuff. But when you look at the PC sales of stuff, they weren't good. Spider-Man 2 didn't break 1 million copies on Steam. So it makes sense to walk back the single-player stuff if it's not making you money, because you got to relicense that. And obviously that costs a lot of money. But Xbox has been making money on other platforms. Good money. Potentially better money than they're making on their own hardware. So like I said, I don't think this is a guaranteed conclusion. I don't think that this is 100% factual. There's always room for debate, and this could end up being completely wrong. Maybe there is some massive return to Xbox, but I think just from a logical perspective and looking at how Xbox has handled this console generation, sort of the moves that they've made, I think this is a lot more likely than going back to traditional, you know, the Xbox 360 era. Rah, rah, ree, kick him in the knee. Rah, rah, rass, kick him in the other knee. Where they were competing, where they were trying to, overtake PlayStation, overtake Nintendo, become the biggest console on the marketplace. I feel like that window of opportunity has closed. So, like I said, this is just what is being discussed, and I thought it was interesting, so I wanted to bring it up with you guys. What do you think about it? Do you think that Xbox is going to have a traditional return to the console with just PC stuff in it? Do you think this is going to be reasonably priced? Obviously, since Game Developers Conference is this week and there's a lot of NPCs that are attending, I don't understand why there's so many influencers at this thing. Like, I thought GDC was for people in the industry, not people who talk about the industry. So kind of weird to me, but I'm sure we'll get a ton of information, and some of the discussions that have had been happening behind closed doors with this, and maybe we'll get more of a spotlight shown on Project Helix, and maybe it'll give us some sort of direction as far as what this is going to. But if I had to put money on it right now, I think what Sneaker So, I don't know how to say it, man. Somebody tell me in the comments. I think what Sneaker So is saying is probably more close to the truth than what people want to believe. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Hit the bell as well so you're not missing out on any videos. And I am the king of Xbox YouTube. I'm the king of PlayStation YouTube. I told you guys this, but you didn't listen to me. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.